Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network. In this show, where me, Jan Ainali, and Albin Larsson editing Wikidata live. Hello, Albin. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I've used plenty of open source software today. How are you,
Well,
Jan?
I'm great, and I have done so as well. The entire day, I think, more or less, been using
Yeah.
free and open source software.
Yeah,
And
I started in the morning as well and has continued.
yeah, and today it is I Love Free Software Day, which is a day organized by the Free Software Foundation Europe, and it's a day of saying thanks to the free software that you use every day, so they can get it. So this is our little thank you
Yes.
time. Do you have any special shout outs that you want to say thanks to?
I was just discussing this earlier with you, like everything I use. I mean, currently I'm running on Ubuntu in Firefox, and just most of the applications I have installed here is, of course, open source software. And just today I've used everything from curl to Firefox, Wikibase, and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this show is, of course, every time sort of a thanks and love to Wikibase, which is
Yes.
running Wikidata, and MediaWiki, which is running underneath that. So today we will be using those to try to highlight the software that's described by Wikidata, and also one that is not yet described there.
Right.
So what are you going to show us later?
I think we're going to use various open source pieces of the Wikibase and Wikidata ecosystem to actually get statistics on open source software and their licenses.
All right.
So a bit of querying, and then maybe see if we can add something to it and expand upon it.
Nice.
As we say, Wikidata is never complete, but we can at least start cutting the corners.
Yes, and we're making it a little bit better over time. That's the end goal. And of course, Wikidata that we talk about is available at wikidata.org, and it looks a little bit like this, if I can share my screen. This is the main site or main page which you come to. And this, as it says here, it's central storage for Wikidata, for Wikimedia. And we're going to sort of jump right into it here and not be so abstract. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, perhaps. I'm going to zoom out a little bit in that window and zoom in the right window so that actually affects you. Yes, there we go. Let's see if it works over here. Oh. So here we come into the item in Wikidata, which consists of many different entities, but in the main namespace we have items. And this is the item for Jitsi Meet. And as it says here in the top, it's a video conference application. And in the top we have labels and descriptions, and in a lot of different languages. And here we can see there's not that many for this one yet. It can be up to, how many do we have support for over now? Like 400 something?
Something like that. It's everything from old languages to very small minority languages to all the major ones.
Yeah. And you see here, it's Swedish because I'm a native Swedish speaker, so I'm actually going to press edit here and try to add it. I think we'll just call it Jitsi Meet as the label, but for the description, I'm going to put in something in Swedish. And Albin will check that I actually do it right. You others who don't speak Swedish will just have to trust me here. Oh, I couldn't spell. Wrong video. Video. Swedish is fun in the way that we actually contract this all together to one long word. And then I'm going to press publish here. And that's my first edit of the day. Now you see I am logged in here, but you can actually edit this without being logged in.
And all of this data is becoming CC0, so anyone can use it for anything.
Yes,
Pretty much.
that's the really good thing about it. It's very easy to reuse it. And besides this header, which sort of have the less structured part of Wikidata in it, we come down to the meat, which is the statements, which is triples claiming things about this item. And you read it like Jitsi meat is an instance of, and then there comes 3 different things here. So it's an instance of video conferencing software, free software, and mobile software. And I'm not sure if this is the best way of doing it, but it's not really wrong. You can also see here that one actually has a preferred rank here. So it's, if you query this one, it will show you this one by default, so to speak. You will have to try to pull a little bit harder to get the other two out. And then it's part of the Jitsi, and I looked this up because I thought it looked a little bit strange, but it actually, Jitsi is quite a complex system of parts moving together. So this one is also right. We have the inception date, and here we have a nice little thing. We have a reference. This one goes to the app's Apple Store. So this might just refer to the Apple app of it. I'm not sure if this one is really good. And then, of course, we have the publisher. Here I also want to add that these same guys are also the main developers. So I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to scroll down before I forget it and add a statement here. And really nice, it auto-suggests developer. So this is based on statistics of similar items. So I'll press developer, I'll paste 8x8 and see if I can check. Yes, it's the VoIP products company. So we'll publish that.
Right.
All right, and here I see something catching my eye, an exclamation mark. And it says copyright license Apache. I think this is correct, but what is the exclamation mark then? So I'll click here.
Copyright status.
Of course. So this one is set up so we want to know the status because you cannot license it if it's not in copyright. So we're going to add that it is copyrighted with the copyright status. So we'll scroll down again and make an add statement. Didn't suggest the copyright status. So we'll start. There we have it. Oh, even better. Here it actually suggests what I can choose from also. Now I didn't add any references for these for now yet. These are quite trivial statements. Actually, this one is sort of inferred in a way from the license.
Yeah.
And this is how an item looks like. It has a lot of different of these things. So we have it in the values here can be of different time types. So this is a time, whereas this is actually a link to another item in Wikidata. And then we have something there where there's distributed review scores with more exclamation marks. Google Play is not a platform. Perhaps that should be a better property than platform. Distributor or something like that. I'm not sure if there is one. Let's see.
I imagine it's documented on review score. Let's actually
that's a good
show that just as an example as well. That everything is connected to properties.
Yes. So I'll press cancel here. So this is the property. And of course, this is linked to the property itself. And then we can see here an example of how you can do it. These are not very detailed. Let's see, do I have anything more information here? Here's the actual constraint that is gonna try to warn us.
Yeah, there it says platform. Review
So
scored by
it's
platform.
it's the Google Play that isn't the right type.
Yeah.
All right. And perhaps,
or it should be place of publication. There are a couple of interesting options there.
place of publication. Yes, that's probably better because that's what it really is.
I would claim it's more a place of publication than a
Yeah,
platform.
I agree with you.
Alter it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. So let's try to edit this. So I'm going to add a new qualifier. And I'm going to go with place of publication. Oh, geographical. So this is...
Okay, then it's not that one.
That's something else. All right. So we'll remove that again. So I'm going to leave this for now because during this day, I don't really want to work on the Google Play item. So let's focus on the free and open things instead.
You got a F-Droid, I think, down there. Or is it used? No, it's used for the various platforms, not for the reviews.
But I have a couple of other interesting things that I want to add, because this I'm going to show you here is actually available on GitHub. So you can actually go over here and see, get the code, as you should be able to with open source. So one of the things is that we have the issue tracker here. And issue tracker is actually a property, which is not added to this one yet. So I'm going to add it. Let's see if it actually called bug tracking system. Yes. And I'm not sure if this is going to require any qualifiers. So I'm just going to try to press publish and see if I get any warnings. This one also don't really need any references because it's sort of a reference in itself. You can click this to verify it. Oh, no warnings. So that's a good addition. And then I think we're going to add another in the bottom here. We usually group the software automatically group all of the statements that are of the type external identifiers. And I scrolled through here and I actually noted it wasn't in one of the common ones that I knew. So I looked it up. So I looked it up in the free software directory. And yes, we actually do have Jitsi meter, and we have a property for this. So I'm going to copy the entire URL. And let's head back here and try to add free software directory entry. And now we're going to see a little bit of a magic here, I think. No, we didn't. I have this thing that should remove the first part. So this is going to be the entry ID. And then it will probably form this one afterward. Yes. So now we do have I'll press that one and see if it actually works. Yes. So that's good. So now it's actually possible to find it elsewhere as well.
Nice one.
Yeah. And then, of course, there are ways of working on an item like this. You can improve it a lot. But what is interesting is getting this connected. So I'm going to try to add this to another item. So, and I happen to know that we have, I'm going to change here to, and I'm going to go up and search for Wikimedia Meet, which is an online service provided by the WMF for Wikimedians to meet virtually. It's hosted by, and this one actually runs. And I think if I can, let's press this and see. if you can actually see it. This might be interesting going, yeah. So this is a Jitsi instance running on Wikimedia's platforms. So I'm going to add here that it uses, or yes, uses, not use, like that.
Yeah.
And say Jitsi meet. And now it's sort of getting connected into this network of what is Wikidata.
Nice. I was just playing with this a little earlier today, actually connecting various like low-level open source libraries to make a bit of graphs of dependencies.
Yes, and this is an easy thing to miss when you edit Wikidata, because you might get so focused on adding new information, but it's also important to connect it to what's already in there, and sort of make this, because is one of the things that's going to enable some of the queries that you will show later.
Indeed.
I also stumbled upon, when I was working on this Jitsi, upon this, the Jitsi Meet Handbook, which is sort of the documentation of Jitsi Meet. And I think we have something called link to, no? User manual URL. Link to the, yes, that's the one. So we're going to add that as well, which could be really helpful for anyone who actually want to use it. And this is sort of the one of the fun ways to do work. We have one watcher. Hello, Niklas. Saying hi. You can say hi in the chat and we can bring it up like this. Also, please do ask questions. We're here to answer anything for you. So I like actually this interface, working with it, but it's also sort of slow sometimes, and it also, even though when I try to add statement here, you get some suggestions of what to add. If you're starting from scratch, it might be a little bit hard. So I'm going to show you another tool to do this. And the tool that I'm going to show you is available at cradle.toolforge.org. And in here you have, should have started from the beginning perhaps. Let's see if I can go back. You have a number of different things to add, and this is meant for creating new items. And I'm going to add a new software here. So you get a new form with the most or some of the common properties that you might want to use. So this is a very nice way to create new items. These are editable on a wiki page. You can find it from the help here. And the most important thing that when you're doing this, which I have failed twice on this show, is that you actually have to log in before you start, or you will lose everything you fill in when you come to the end and cannot press the save button. So I'm going to start with this one this time, not 3 times in a row. So this one connects with OAuth, asking, may this tool make edits in your place? Yes. And as you see here, it reloads everything, so I would have lost all of it because I have to go back to software even. Now let's see, can I zoom in a little bit here? Yes, that's a little bit better. So I'm going to add an app that I'm using that's open source. And it's called Tusky. And first here you have to actually know the language code. So I'll press SV for Swedish. And then I'll press the plus here to the right to add a new row. And I'll go with EN for English. And aliases, no, not really. And this is description. I'll start with Swedish. And it's an it's going to be very similar here in English. So this is an app to connect to the social network Mastodon. And now, what's the instance of here? Luckily, we have a selection here of suggested things. You cannot see my dropdown, but the only thing I can select is application. And I think that is not the best we can do. So I'm going to start writing mobile application here because it's only on a mobile app. There we got it. So this is the one we're going to use. And then I want to add another row here, like we saw on Jitsi. This is always a nice thing to be inspired by other items, because that's a very good way of learning Wikidata, and try to copy some of it. And I'm going to copy free software here. So I'm going to say that it's also free software. The developer, I don't think this is, I searched the main developer name, couldn't find him in Wikidata, so I have to create an item for them later, perhaps. Come back to that. Operating system, here we have a number of them, so it's available on Android. And it's available, and let's switch over here to the Tusky app. Yes, so it's available on Android. So it's can remove this one again. And publication date. Did I scrolled back all the pages on GitHub because it was quite a few releases, but you didn't want to see me sitting scrolling here. But we can see that the first version 1.0.0 was released on March 15. I think that's a good date to use.
Yeah.
They do have some pre-releases before that, but I think that's the one we can put in here. No, I'm not sure if it will actually be smart enough to grab this. I think it was. Unfortunately, I cannot add the reference here, so I'll have to go back later. It doesn't really have a format. It's not really based on something. Let's see if the GitHub repository, it has 67% Kotlin and 32% Java, so I can add those here, perhaps.
Yeah, I would say so.
Is this just not getting me? Is it slow? There it goes. All right, and Java. Now I really want to see it because there's lots of things that is called Java. I'm not sure if this one.
Can you right-click it?
No. So
when it's in the Dropbox.
Let's go here and see Java. 251. That was the right one. Describe that URL. Described by software version identifier. Oh, this could be a long list. Let's just add the latest one for now. So we're at 13.1. That might be good to know.
I imagine this would be imported by a bot if you added the Git repository.
That would be nice.
I don't think people enter this manually.
I have no idea. Well, let's add one first, at least.
Right.
If it's a bot, it might be smart enough to actually know that. So we already identified we want to do a few more things than we actually could add here. And I would like to go back and improve this, adding copyright status and the license. But I'm not going to do that right now. It's a little bit too deep. But I'm going to create new, and let's see what happened. I didn't get any feedback. Oh, it's something circular up here. Will it go there, or is it already done? This Cradle tool itself is also free open source software. So we have the Git link, and you could go and ask or give feedback. Let's just check my contributions. There we have it. Dusky.
Right.
And now you can see we have it over here. And it all looks nice. So I'm going to start first by just adding this, not this one. Copy that link location and add that as the, where did it go? As a reference over here. And now it gives me a couple of suggestions. I'm going to use the reference URL and just paste that. I'm going to use retrieved here, and I enabled my gadget to autofill that with today's date. I recommend everyone to turn that on. And I think for now, I'm just going to add the two most important things here. We're going to add the copyright license and check back. What was it really? Did we have license.txt here?
GPL version 3.
Yep. So I'll actually copy all of this and see if it's going to work. Did it say 3 or later, or just 3?
I think it's just 3.
Yep. So we'll go with this. We'll add a reference here again. We'll use this page as the reference there and add the retrieved date. And now this one is gonna give me a warning here saying again, you need to add copyright status. So we'll add it. And this one's going to be copyrighted as well, but it's under a free license. Oh, and now this one disappears. And let's just check this one. Citation needed constraint. Statements for software version identifier. Oh, all right. So let's go back up here. We had this page. There we go. So here's the tag for that. We don't want any angry remarks here when leaving it. So we'll just paste that one in and add the retrieve date here as well. We have some basic, oh no, I'm just gonna add, what do we use this for? So this one is use.
Right.
This is social media. Social networking, service social.
I think it would be enough if you point it to Mastodon, you
Yeah,
would
I was gonna
interfere
say
from that.
I would say it uses Mastodon, but this one is use.
Right.
I'll go with social media because this is not really the platform. This is just accessing it. But I want to go with
Right.
uses here. Item used by. Or is this even a dependency? Depends on software. Mastodon. Do we have... What would you go with? Depends or uses?
I would go with uses because I think you could technically start the app anyway. And like
Probably,
the libraries
yeah.
under powering the app would be depends on software.
Yeah, that's good. It's not a heavy metal band. It's the free and open source, self-hosted and federated social network service. I also see that we have a question here from Daniel. Could you add P2078? I don't know. What is P2078?
I think it's user manual.
Do we have it? Do we have a manual here? We have frequently asked questions. Was there one in here? Or was this earlier? No, this is just now. I'm going to skip that for now. I didn't add any, not so many external identifiers, but we have the most important one. That's how to get to GitHub.
Right. I think a very important thing we're missing is the software repository.
Oh, yes. Yes, we
I
only
think
had like
that's
indirectly to the...
Exactly.
All right, let's add that one. That's a good one. So software... or is it just called repository? Source code repository.
Source code
There
repository.
we go.
Okay.
And we'll go back, and this is where this is at. And here I know that it's gonna say that I'm gonna need to add some qualifiers, but I don't remember them by head, so I'm gonna start here first. Version control system.
Version control system.
Oh, here we on both of these. So we start with the version control. This is Git. And I think the protocol is also Git. Do we have a special for the protocol? Is it this? I don't really know.
That feels odd that it should be... I think that's if the source code repository link is like the SSH link or something like that.
So
I think you could skip
with this. Yeah. And then to be really nice and to really say thanks on a day like this, I'm going to go with adding the official website URL as well. This one is going to need the language qualifier, which is English.
Right.
And that's my part for today, I think.
Good one.
Yeah. So thank you, Tusky, and thank you, Jitsi. Things I use every day.
Right. Put my screen up here. And I will be using a slightly different part of Wikidata. I will be using Wikidata's query service. So all the data you put into Wikidata is both CC0, but it's also incredibly accessible and easy to get your hands on. So I will be using this, and I'm just gonna show the first examples asking for cats in Wikidata. and one can run data here, and it just lists them and their identifier. But I want to query for, let's say, open source software. I want to get their licenses, and I want to get the most common licenses and kind of create statistics for them. So where would I begin with this? I would begin on Wikidata, and I'm gonna pick some open source software as an example that I can use to build my query. Let's see, common open source software would be Curve. Probably one of the most used one that is in pretty much everything, from cars to my computer right now. And we can see that it has an instance of free software. There are a couple of alternatives here, like open source software, and I'm not gonna distinguish from them right now. I'm gonna change this query. Select. I want to select everything I define here. This is SparkQL, by the way, for querying RDF data. And I want to start by picking out software. So that's a variable. And then I use a namespace here because I want to say this is an instance of. And I can autocomplete this. You might have saw the notification down there. I press Control Space to do so. And I want to make sure that it's both what's said to be free software and everything that is a subclass of free software. So I can do that with something that's called a property path in SparkQL. And I can here say subclass and add a star there. And then point to the item in question, which is free software. Again, auto-completing here. And this is the queue number for the item, which Jan has showed plenty of, and he also showed a property. And here we're using two, instance of and subclass. Okay, let's grab all labels for this as well. I'm gonna use a bit of a Wikidata or Wikibase specific SparkQL here, a service for grabbing their label. And I want to say up here that I want to retrieve the software variable and software label, which is a bit of a magic feature to get the text from an item, which is specific for Wikibase and Wikidata.
So do we have more software than cats? We had 151 cats. A lot more software than cats.
So we got almost 8,000 open source software here. There is a bunch here. I think many of us recognize Semantic Media Wiki, OpenStreetMap, Java OpenStreetMap, OpenOffice Draw.
The old and trusted Bugzilla.
Oh, you saw Bugzilla here as well.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna pick Bugzilla there because next up I want to select the various licenses this has. So I'm gonna go over to Bugzilla here and I'm gonna look for their license, copyright license, and I can actually hover this and see that it's P275. So I want to select license, but from the software. Let's do this in the right order. Again, software, PDT.
Nicholas make them really good remark here. We love cats, but even more free softwares.
Yes. Hopefully this becomes a challenge for someone to add more cats.
I want to see a free software cat.
Oh, what would that be?
I don't know. That's a different show, I guess.
I'm here picking out the license for each of the various softwares, as well as the label for them. And I run this, and this should add, in addition to the software, it should add its license here in new columns. We got a bit of a fewer results here, we can see.
Yes.
Um,
So some of them are claiming they are free software, but we haven't yet added the license to them.
exactly.
So it might not be wrong, it's just not done yet.
Yeah, and we can see some of them has more than one license, like console, which I use every day, has 2 licenses.
Quite common.
So we can see that with plenty of them.
Yeah.
But what I want to do next, I'm no longer interested in the software. I just want to have the statistics for what's the most used open source license according to Wikidata. So I'm actually gonna go to license item here and see what is this an instance of. So most of all, it's a subclass of software license. Let's.
I'm just gonna stop a while for the cat here. There's a Kulturarvs cat, a cultural heritage cat, which is also a pun in Swedish because it's also a treasure.
Yes. I'm gonna pick the official licenses here from the open source. I should know this. Open source definition, right? To limit ourselves a little, but I just want licenses now. I'm gonna say license. Again, this very common one, instance of property, and like that. Next, I would need, let's see, the software with that license. So I want to select software, DDT, copyright license, and I want to set that to the license I have selected above. Oh, what did I do? Did I get it?
Yep.
Didn't autocomplete, but okay. So here we now have, okay, give me all licenses. That's an open source license according to this definition. Now get me all software which has one of those licenses. I think we're gonna start with that. It's essentially a bit more of a limitations. Okay, a little less than 2,000. You can see a lot of the same one here.
Yeah.
Now I do no longer care at all about the software, but I want to count the licenses here. And let's see. I'm typing a little too quickly here. I want to count them, and I want to count them as license count. Then, similar to how you do it in SQL, I want to group by the license label. So we get a count of each license, but with this limit to software. And I'm associating that count with the label. I think this should do it. Yes, but we have them in random order here. Yes. But we can see at least that they were counted. But we can similarly again to SQL say order by descending license count. All right, so we got a GNU General Public License 2.0. We got a more generic one. I assume it refers to version 1. We got the more and more popular ESC one, which is quite similar to CC0, I believe. I can see that a couple of ones that I would assume would be here are missing.
Yeah.
I would expect the MIT license to be here. In particular, I actually want to look that up right now.
Yep. So it's not in the tree of the open source license right now.
Exactly. So I'm a little, because it should be. So I'm gonna go to license. Yes, we can see here that it only has instance of permissive free software license.
Which is true.
Which is true as well.
Yep.
I'm gonna add this one as well. Right. Let's see. Oh, it says right here. No, updated a few seconds ago.
All right.
Let's hope for the best that it has already updated, not only in general but also in the right data center. Actually, this might be cached response.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break that by typing a random comment.
No, it actually no.
No, still not. Okay, it was a good try.
So it's more than a few seconds. I just noticed it's interesting here with the version numbers, because that's sometimes quite important. And you can see if you scroll down a little bit, one that is very common in, except for the GPL, we have the European public license there as well, which is several years ago came out in a new version 1.2, which is a lot better than the first one. So it would be good to have that distinction in here.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Actually, Jan pointed out something before that I would like to take a stab at here. He pointed out that we had a bunch of free software, but not as much free software associated with the license. So we can actually use this querying tool to highlight those, to just retrieve those, so we can edit them. Or maybe some of them are just missing a license. Maybe some of them aren't free software. So let's try that. Again,
while we're waiting for the data centers.
While we are waiting for the data center. Select everything where, again, maybe I should have copied my former query, but no. Software, instance of, or instance of something that's a subclass of. And BDT, no, BD, because we want a Wikidata free software. Like that. Okay, but then all of those that are missing the statement copyright license. So we can do that in Sparkle with minus wings, and here we can say software PDT property copyright license, and that can be anything. We just want to check if it does not exist. Again, I'm gonna add this Wikidata specific SparkQL service for the labels. And then type here software because I want the identifier, so I can go to Wikidata and the software label, which is this magic coming from the service.
All right, 92.
92 instances of free software or subclasses of free software. No, I have an error.
800.
800,
Oh,
that's right.
All right.
So instances of free software or subclasses of 8. And yeah, 800 free softwares that does not have an associated license. I'm gonna have a quick look. Do I recognize something super quickly? I recognized the first one.
I think we can have a few that is correct, but still showing up here. And if they are public domain for some reason, they don't need the license, but still would be free software.
Yeah, so it could be true with software sponsored or created by the US government, I would imagine.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
There might be a few cases. It shouldn't be too many.
No. Not with software in particular, but with other things it could.
Yeah.
It's quite a common thing. So, archive. Okay, so this is the... So something here is a subclass of...
Probably that one.
Probably, I'm guessing here. And it's a subclass of free software, right? But I don't think this is... I do not know if this is actually open source.
I don't know either. And is all like are all open science tools really free software?
No. But the problem on this item, I believe, generally I could go here and edit it, but that's the only...
Yeah.
Maybe if there is science tool. Did I spell correctly? Yes.
No, we missed the start.
Science tool.
Only articles.
Yes, it doesn't suggest anything I'm looking for. But indeed, I don't think the subclass here is correct. So I would consider this a false positive. Let's see if we can find something else. Open Darwin, I would assume, is some type of open implementation of OS X or Mac OS. But I would very much like to see something that I feel like this one I know. Right, open aerial maps. So it's a OpenStreetMap like project, if I remember correctly. It uses free software. They have an official website. Let's see if we can find their Git repository or something similar. Maybe in the footer. Yes, so this is created by Parliamentarian OpenStreetMap team, and it should very much be open source. Maybe under about license. That's about data collected. Here's the GitHub repository. Great.
All right.
This is not... Oh, it is.
Oh,
It's a
it's
bunch of.
uh-huh.
That might be a blocker for me here. If
It,
they doesn't happen to use one,
just
but
check one and see if it has a license.
it
Yes.
has a license, so at least I know that
It's not
it's
totally wrong.
open.
Now the question is, do they all have the same one?
Exactly. And I'm gonna check 2 here. I won't actually edit it, but just to look at it for now. And license.
Yeah.
It actually had
Yeah.
the same license.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna guess for now,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna add developer here. Because I also think this is a developer that we all can say very much thanks to. They do
Yeah.
a lot of great work.
Indeed. Then they should have a Wikidata item.
They
T,
very much.
hot OSM.
Oh,
There you go.
yes. The Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. So, and I'm gonna fix this constraint for them as well. Language of work, it was in English, the web page. So that's actually a great find. I didn't know that it was by them, but it's definitely someone. They do a lot of great work on the OpenStreetMap environments in general.
Yep.
So definitely thanks to them. And let's see if this former query that didn't have the update now got it. A nice thing we got here. It says the data was updated an hour ago. That's
Oh,
not
no.
good enough for me.
Put
I'm gonna
it up.
run this and
Oh,
reload, and maybe is it still an hour? It's still an hour.
oh no.
Okay. So we can't showcase this, but maybe in an hour, additional
Yeah.
hour, it will also include the MIT license in the statistics here. Sometimes this is down to a couple of seconds. Most commonly nowadays it's around 5 minutes maybe.
I
But in
think actually,
general,
like this winter has been really good
yeah,
in general.
I agree. I think they updated the entire update infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it should be a
But
little
of course,
faster.
it's I Love Free Software Day today, so everyone is out there working on on this.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a great piece, and it's a lot of data. Let's just sum it up like that. It's impressive when it only takes an hour.
Yeah, and right now the front page of Wikidata says that it is 92 million items, 92 and a half even. So
Right. Yeah.
it's a bit.
And it's a bit, and that's just the items, statements, and everything. I think how many edits were there on Wikidata?
I'm not sure if it's a couple of billions.
Yeah, exactly, something
I
like
know
that.
that English Wikipedia just passed a billion, and it was the second one to pass.
Yeah, I
Wikidata.
remember as well that
Yeah.
English Wikipedia passed a billion, but Wikidata was way ahead.
We have a comment here from Daniel also that there's another way to mark licenses as OSI approved by Open Source
Let's
Initiative.
I see P790.
Yep. You need to, yes.
Approved by, yes. So each individual license could have approved by, and then the.
And it also has a license as an example there.
Yes, right. Yeah, I wonder if one would need to do it both ways, or if we just need to work on it in general.
I think all of it.
Yeah, that's
Probably.
usually the answer is never yes or no. It's always depends, and
Yeah,
maybe both.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a wiki project, and while it's powered by open source software, it's also maintained by its communities that uses it.
yeah. And here we have all the pieces is open source as well, from the Wikidata query service to everything that's made to put things into it.
Yes.
Nice little ecosystem there. All right, that was it, I guess, for today.
Yeah.
Again, thank you to everyone who is working on free and open source software. It makes the world tick, literally
It
sometimes
does.
even.
Yes.
And we will be back next week, not on Sunday next week. We'll be back at Saturday at 8 o'clock CET. So not 7 o'clock at UTC in the evening.
Right.
So prime time.
Same time as we
Yeah, and to all the
started.
Swedes, don't check Mellow. Check out this next week.
Yeah, that's
It's just it's the Eurovision Song Contest quarterfinals, and it's never as good as this.
no. It's a easy competition.
Yes, it is. And with that, we say bye and see you later.
Bye.